Hello everyone, so in this video we will be discussing linear equations in one variable. So basically linear equations are a first degree equation that takes the form ax plus b, which is equivalent to 0, where a and b are constants and a must not be equal to 0, because if you have a value of a which is equivalent to 0, meaning to say this is not a linear equation anymore because this will become 0. So that will just give us a constant equivalent to 0. So that is not a linear equations anymore. So meaning to say we must have our value of a that must not be equivalent to 0. So now let's proceed with the general procedure for solving linear equations. So there are five steps in solving for linear equations. The first step is, if the equation contains fractions, eliminate all fractions from the equation. Second step is remove symbols of grouping if needed. And we have to combine like terms on the same side of the equation and isolate the term containing the variable on one side of the equation and the constant term on the other side. And the last one is to solve for the value of the variable using either multiplication or division property of equality. So we have here an example. Solve the equation 2x plus 4 is equivalent to 3x plus 6. So in this case, in order for us to solve the equation, the objective of this one is we need to find the value of our variable, which is x. So again, using the steps that was mentioned earlier, we need to isolate those terms that has a variable or a known value, and then we also need to isolate those constant values on the other side of our equations. So meaning to say we can combine this one and this one. So we have 2x minus 3x, since we will be moving that outside of our equal sign. So that will negate the sign. So we have 6, then 4 will be moved to another side of the equation, so that gives us minus 4. So that is 2x minus 3x, that is minus x or negative x. 6 minus 4, that is equivalent to 2. So as you can see, x is still negative, so we can divide at both sides by negative 1, so that we can get the value of our x. So meaning to say the value of our x is equivalent to negative 2. So this is how we solve for the equation of uh, of the given equation. So meaning to say, if you plug that in, if you plug negative 2 in our equation, these expressions must be equivalent with each other. So another example is number 2. We have 6 multiplied by 3y minus 12y minus 15 is equivalent to 9y plus 12. As mentioned earlier, we need to eliminate groupings. So meaning to say we need to avoid or eliminate the parenthesis sign. So we have 6 multiplied by 3y minus 12y. Negative times negative, that is positive 15. And then we have the equal to 9y plus 12. And 6 multiplied by 3y, that is equivalent to 18y. And 6 multiplied by 12 or negative 12, that is 72y. 6 times 15, that is positive 90. And that gives us equivalent to 9y plus 12. Now, since we still have variables on both sides of our equations, meaning to say we need to combine to combine those terms with which has variables and those terms which is constant. So meaning to say we will need to move 9y to the other side of our equation. That gives us 18y minus 72y minus 9y, which is equivalent to 12. And we are moving this one to the other side, so meaning to say we have minus 90. 18y minus 72y minus 9y, that is equivalent to 63y. And 12 minus 90, that is equivalent to negative 78. So in order for us to get the solution or to get the value of our y, we need to divide that both sides by its coefficient, which is negative 63. So that gives us the value of y as equivalent to positive 26 over 21. So this is now the solution, or this is now the value of our unknown variable in our expression here. So next one is we have the equations leading to linear equations. So there are three types of equation that leads us to a linear equations. The first one is the fractional equation. So as you can see here, a fractional equation is an equation that contains at least one algebraic fraction with the variable in the denominator. So as you can see, this is a fractional equation because the denominator contains a variable which is x. So in order for us to find the solution set of this equation, we need to eliminate the fraction form of this one. So how can we do that? So for this one, for this equation, as we know, we can just cross multiply that one so that we can have a linear equation. So now we have 4x minus 1 cross multiplied by x minus 5. That is equivalent to 2x times 2x. That's multiplied by 2x minus 5. And now we can already solve this one. So we have 4x times x, we have 4x squared. So as you can see, we already have the x squared, meaning to say this is not a linear anymore. But we'll try to finish this one and see if it will still be a quadratic equation. Because again, if the variable already has an exponent, meaning to say that it's not a linear equation anymore, that will be a quadratic equation now. But we'll just try to finish this one first. 4x times negative 5, that is negative 20x. Negative 1 times x, that is negative x. Negative 1 times negative 5, that is positive 5. And for this one, we have 4x squared minus 20x. So we need to combine this one first. We'll just equate this one to 0. So we have 4x squared. Combining like terms, we have minus 4x squared. We have negative 20x. This is negative 10. 2 times negative 5, that should be negative 10x. So we still have negative x. And moving this one to the other side of the equation, that gives us positive 10x. And then we have our plus 5, and that is equivalent to 0. Now, 4x squared minus 4x squared, so that can be cancelled. So meaning to say, our equation is still on the linear equation. So we have negative 20x minus x plus 10x, that gives us negative 11x. And in order for us to isolate the value of our x, we need to move the constant to the other side of our equation. So that gives us negative 5. Now, dividing that by negative 11 so that we can get the value of our x. So we have our x is equivalent to positive 5 over 11. So this is now the value of our x, or the value of our variable in the expression here. So another type of equations leading to linear equations is the equations involving radicals. So we have here, as you can see from this expression, we have a radical signs here. So in order for us to solve for the value of our x, or for the value of our variable, we need to multiply this both sides by squared. So that gives us x plus 4 is equivalent to 2. And then we have x minus 2. we need to square that both sides so we can eliminate or we can cancel the square root, because 1/2 multiplied by 2, that is equivalent to 1. So meaning to say we can have x plus 4, and then 2 that is squared, that is 4. Multiplied by, this are already cancelled, so we have x minus 2. So that gives us x plus 4 equivalent to 4x minus 8. Isolating the combining like terms, so we have x minus 4x is equivalent to negative 8 minus 4. So we have negative 3x equivalent to negative 12. Now, in order for us to get the value of our x, we need to divide that by negative 3. So we have our x as equivalent to positive 4. So this is now our answer, or the solution of our equation. Okay, the last equation leading to our linear equation is literal equations. So we have here an equation. Literal equations is an equation that contains letters other than the letter considered unknown. So as you can see here, literal equations is also known to be the equation, or the what we call that, the equation or the solution. So we have here this example: solve for c in the equation a squared is equivalent to s multiplied by s minus a multiplied by s minus b multiplied by s minus c. So meaning to say we need to find the equation for our c. So how can we do that if we have this? Meaning to say we need to isolate c. So in order for us to do that, rewriting that here, we have s times s minus a times s minus b times s minus c. So in order for us to isolate our c, we need to divide that we need to divide our equation by s times s minus a times s minus b. Why do we need to divide that? So in order for us to have this term remain on the other side of our equation, because that can be cancelled. So we have s times s minus a times s minus b. So meaning to say we already have this. So rewriting that one, we have a squared is all over s times s minus a times s minus b. That is equivalent to s minus c. So as you can see here, it will be very clear now how can we isolate our our c. So we need to move this one to the other side of our equation in order for us to get the value of our, or to isolate the value of our c. So that gives us a squared all over s times s minus a times s minus b minus our s, that gives us negative c. But as you can see, the c is still negative, so we need to divide that both sides by negative 1. So that gives us negative s divided by negative 1, that gives us positive s. Positive divided by negative, that gives us minus a squared divided by s times s minus a times s minus b. So meaning to say, the equation now, or the solution for our c, is this one. So those are all the equations, or those are how we isolate values, or we get the values of our unknowns. So I'll see you on the next video.